Attention, Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
All righty. Tell you, there was some gremlins in the system, and I'm the gremlin. Welcome, everyone, to a wonderful live meeting with ScouterStan and Friends. We have some wonderful people with us tonight, and we're gonna definitely dive into your questions. If you have questions about the new thing that's going on as far as the new advancement guide, we've been talking about it before the show, and I'm sure you have questions out there. Youth, you're welcome to enjoy the show, but definitely throw in some questions. If you have some questions that your scoutmaster is avoiding, like how do I get a signature on this blue card? That might be one of your questions. Definitely dive in. Tonight we have Mike. He's going to be running our questions. Hi, Mike. Are you there?
I'm here.
Awesome. I saw there was some questions already. There was a first class scout already in, and that is wonderful. We have two guests with us tonight, and I definitely want to invite them to jump in at any time and answer any kind of questions, or even if they have some burning issue. I think that's something that we need to address and talk about. We're all volunteers. We all have the common goal of making scouting a life-changing thing for our young people, to help them achieve better than they could ever imagine. And we're all into that. Tonight we have the roaming scouter who's calling in. I guess he's from the East Coast. So, and that's nice, right, Mike? It's cold up where you are.
Yeah, Bucky and I are both in Minnesota, so it's
So Bucky's up there. Bucky
it's
is
around 0 degrees.
There you go. And we're gonna kind of start off with the roaming scouter, and we're gonna ask him to tell us a little bit about his channel. He has a YouTube channel that I am absolutely love. Okay, it's fantastic. Okay, everyone that's listening, please quickly go over there and subscribe. Okay, it is well worth viewing all of his past stuff. Make sure you get to all of it, but subscribe and don't keep it a secret. Tell everybody you know. That's the next big thing. But the thing is, Matt, tell me about your channel, okay, from your point of view.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here. So my name is Matt, aka the Roaming Scouter. I've got that name because I roam around the United States a lot. I've been a part of 3 separate councils over the last couple of years. And while I was a Eagle Scout 20 years ago, according to that plaque on the wall.
One thing, there's no such thing as a was.
No, correct. Yeah. I am still an Eagle Scout, according to this, freshly minted 20 years ago, according to the plaque on the wall.
There you go. That's an old test.
But a couple of years ago, I started my son on his lion journey as soon as lions became a thing. And then the last couple of years, I really have been just craving more information about how to have robust programs for Cub Scouts. I'm predominantly involved with Cub Scouts right now. I help with my own unit, and I'm also a unit commissioner for another Cub Scout unit as well. And I've put out my channel to try to help inspire and inform new scouting parents and adult leaders, because us as scouting alumni, people who've been around scouting for a while, we kind of have all this information, and sometimes we believe that others already know it, and they don't. Like, everybody has to kind of start from a baseline. So I wanted to help inspire brand new parents to go out there, find programs, ideas, places to go. And then also, if they were looking at something as far as, hey, I don't really know if I want to take my kids on this specific hike out here in Washington, D.C., I'm actually going out there to walk the grounds, to find the bathrooms, to do the things like that, to let you know, like, hey, here is the good, bad, and ugly of it. Because I know that I do a lot of research about things before I take my family to go to places. And that's the kind of the elevator pitch of what my channel is about. And I'm just really happy to be here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I really got a lot out of the videos. The videos were fantastic. If you're, and it's focused more towards Cub Scouts. Are you going to be doing, as you progress, are you going to be looking into doing some for troop level?
Yes, I will do both. As of right now, it's kind of a journey because obviously I'm in Cub Scouts, so a lot of my material and all the things that I'm more able to touch is here within the scouting correction in the Cub Scout program. As I move up, I will start to look at other ways of helping out Scouts BSA and even exploring and venturing as I move through there. And I also believe, though, a lot of the things that I'm trying to work at both the Cub Scout level and the Scouts BSA level, because a lot of it has to do with planning, making sure that you have, annual plans, that you're having these goals and these visions about what you think is right, and then going back and reassessing and saying, hey, this is something we've done good, this is something we've done bad, and here's something we want to improve on. And if you want to improve on it, helping inspire you to have some way of improving it. So it will go a full gambit.
That's awesome, because Cub Scouts, and I say this a lot in my videos. I say, if you're in the Cub Scout realm, please don't skip videos that's really focused on troops, because you're going to be there someday. It's an inevitability. You're going to be there. So, and that's true from the other point of view. You have to think of it from, if you're just in a troop, oh, I don't need to look at anything for Cub Scouts. You need to know where your new Scouts came from, where their mindset, where their program was. And so you should know both. Cub Scout leaders should watch the troop stuff, and the troop leaders need to watch the Cub Scout stuff, because that is related. It's all together, and it's so important. And your channel is, I got to step up my game. I tell you, I look at those videos; those are good. So that's why you're here. I really love those videos. They're awesome. Now, also we have Scoutmaster Bucky. Scoutmaster Bucky. I see a plushie on the side there. I don't know. I'm not sure. Bucky, can you tell us about it?
Sure.
Tell us about what you do, which is so fascinating. And we've had several conversations, but it's fascinating what you're doing. Tell us about it.
Well, first off, probably the regular credentials. I've been a Scoutmaster since 2007. I took a little sabbatical for about 6 years as Cubmaster, but I've managed to be Cubmaster and Scoutmaster at the same time for the majority of my scouting career. I didn't start out that way. I started as a Tiger Den leader and have done that. I've done Cub Scout Roundtable Commissioner. I've done, you name it. I've done a lot of things, and I like learning and I like working with people. It's kind of in my family's blood.
Awesome.
From a family of teachers, and just seems kind of natural. And when I signed up, I said, I'm going to do this as long as it's fun, the politics don't get too thick, and that I can connect with the kids. And I guess I'm still able to connect with the kids. When I can't connect with the kids, then it's time to maybe move on to a different position. But I love working with the kids in the trenches. That's what rejuvenates me.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
When was it? 2009, we started after a summer at camp. We decided that why not once a month do like a merit badge deal, and we were just a bunch of leaders that really didn't know what we were doing. Plus, we'd just been Cub Scout leaders, and we started very naively and invited some of the neighboring troops, and they're like, "This is great. How did you find out about it?" I don't know. Picked up the phone and made a few calls, and the program grew and grew and grew to the point that we went from 12 kids in January of 2009 to 175 kids showing up in May of 2009. And we
Wow.
had, we basically do a live event in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area once a month during the school year. And then in 2013, my council approved myself and another scouter to start a online program. And this was well before the pandemic flush of online merit badges. Our condition was we couldn't do Eagle required ones. And so we started doing that about 3-4 times a month and kind of honed in what we needed to do and what we didn't and shouldn't do. And obviously, when the pandemic came, we had quite the surge of people asking for advice, and you know, it was hard to give advice because I think when working with scouts, you can't put it in a box, and I think sometimes people try and put how do we handle scouts into a box. And truth of the matter is we've got to work with the individual to the best of their needs and such.
True. That is so true.
Yeah.
It's got to be
All right.
tailored towards what they want. That is a big
Want
deal.
And need.
Yes,
And need. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. You know, there's merit badges have so many different facets to them. I've got an idea that I'm working on, excuse me, for season 12 about how merit badges are their own categories. You know, like there's ones that are mechanical in nature, where it's about a skill like welding. You know, then there's other ideas of different categories. I want to go into a bunch of that, but merit badges are fascinating.
Yes.
And they are so critical to Eagle advancement, and they are absolutely critical for personal development. There's never been an opportunity to learn welding as a youth as they do when they get it as a merit badge. That is very important. And there's skills. There's just general skills, how to cooking merit badge. It's amazing. It's
how
amazing.
to fix a clogged drain.
Exactly. Plumbing.
Right.
I mean, it's on, cars, automotive
repair.
Yeah.
maintenance. There's a lot of different ones out there. I had a scout who actually committed to getting all of the merit badges. He got all 138.
Yep.
And at that time, being in Orlando, snow sports was a difficult merit badge because we don't get snow.
Right.
So
Yeah.
February, I think his parents went up north, way up north from Florida. I think it was North Carolina. There was some ski ranches up there. So that's how they were able to get the requirements.
I have been blessed to work with dozens of kids trying to earn all the merit badges. And there are some that are very evasive based on the requirements.
Yep.
But also in like counselors, try and find a surveying counselor. They're tough to find.
Yeah. Yes.
You know?
Or
I can only
bugling.
imagine.
Bugling is one of the rarest merit badges. I
It
had
is.
no idea. I
Yeah.
had bugling. That blew my mind.
All right.
I never knew that. Mike,
How
do we
about-
have questions in our chat?
We have some questions. Let's give some shout outs to
Okay.
we have Swagger Dog is joining us from Belize. So
Woohoo!
thanks for joining us.
Belize, the way down the south.
We have Mr. Patterson, the art guy. You're from Bucky's Council too. Okay, you're from Northern Star Council in Minnesota. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Patterson.
That's awesome.
We have Wasteland Reaper. Wasteland Reaper is an assistant cub master in Blackhawk Area Council. I believe that's in northern Illinois, so that's pretty close to Bucky and myself.
Mhm.
And Wasteland Reaper asks, I'm trying to start a new multi-level group. What is the biggest piece of advice for starting new units? Pack, troop, crew.
Yeah.
So I
The
love the
BSA
enthusiasm starting a new unit.
Yeah, the BSA has that 3 for 3. Have you heard about this? This is where you can have, I believe it's 3 scouts and 3 adult leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And you register your charter with your council. This has been an experiment for a while, and it's trying to start up new ones. I've got an episode coming up. I'm still working on the script. So you're probably going to get a lot of questions, but 3 for 3 is a new thing. And it is something to get units started again. COVID was almost fatal to scouting because we lost a lot of Cub Scout troops or packs, and troops were soon to follow because they are dependent on those packs to feed into a troop. So COVID was not a friend to scouting. It really hurt. So we're trying to build that back up again, and that's a huge thing. Having good leadership, like an assistant Cub Master. Oh my! When I was Cub Master, holy cow, that was one of the best position. I could rely on them to do the song. I could rely on them for some kind of fun cheer. That was always something. And but having those assistants come in there is wonderful. That is a huge thing. Now, Matt, I don't believe you're into Cub Scouting, right? Yep, there you are. I was looking for your screen. The technicalities here. I hope there's no merit badge for that. But what do you think about that question?
I think that's a very interesting question, and it's honestly a blind spot because I have not stood up a new unit yet, at least on the Cub Scout level. And I'm in the middle of that process right now with standing up a new Explorer post at one of the local airports here that's focused on aviation. And one of the things that we're trying to do, and I guess the first piece of advice is to get the youth leaders to write down what they want their program to look like and what they hope their goals are. Because at one point they're like, well, what do we do? I'm like, well, what do you guys want to do? Like, what do you believe is going to be a successful program? And nobody had kind of really asked them that question yet. So they're kind of saying like, oh, we wish that we could have this many people come from these professions and that we would get this exposure to kind of this. I'm like, okay, cool. So I think that having a vision of what you believe your goal and your perfect unit is one of the best pieces of advice, because then it gives you something to steer and aim at.
That's awesome. That is true. That is true. It's difficult sometimes when you're kind of on your own, and that makes it even harder. So it is so important that we express those needs to our community. And a lot of times your charter can help you out as far as getting some good leaders. And, I always thought of units as a service to the community. We're there to give this program to their scouts so that they can really achieve and do great things. I think that scouting is so important. And I think we all agree that, Scout Oath and Scout Law is what it's all about. That's our core. And that is, if we can instill that in American children, we're going to do well in our country. So that is very important for the next leadership that's going to be coming along. We want them to be able to make moral decisions and be able to do that based on the basic principles of scouting values. That is a huge thing. Mike, do we have another question? I keep seeing things roll.
We do. Timothy Leaven says, hey, everyone. I believe Timothy is a frequent viewer. I don't recall where he's from.
I think I've seen his logo, this little thing there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Andrew S. Hi, everyone, from Long Island, New York.
Fantastic.
Thank you for
Looks like
joining
we're getting
us.
a pretty good mix.
Okay, Steve, joins us from the Great Trail Council, Northeast Ohio.
Very nice.
1 year as a Cub Scout leader, and I'm jumping into the troop and Wood Badge. All right. Thank you for joining.
Wood Badge.
Wood Badge. Excellent.
Going to the Summit Bechtel Reserve. That's what the SBR before it is. And
Nice.
I know a few people that from around the country that have served on that. I don't know how regularly they do it out there, but It's done as a joint
Yeah.
troop one. So I've heard great reviews on it out there.
For the wood badge.
For wood badge, yes.
Oh, really? At Summit?
Yes.
Because they do one for national out at Philmont.
Yep.
And they've been doing that for years.
Yep.
So
No, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago
stuff.
that they started doing it at Summit Bechtel.
Fantastic. They have the facilities. If you've ever been there, you know it's huge, gigantic place.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of really nice facilities for that training. And
Get
it's
a good pair of
wood badge is a big commitment.
Yes. Yes.
Huge. It's a big commitment.
I'm just
There you go.
check out the banners. Okay.
Thank you. I always forget those.
Jared Davison, joining us from the Natural State Council, going to do wood badge this year. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you for your commitment to training.
Yeah.
I think there's so many benefits of training, and BSA offers so much adult training, and I think it's that every scout deserves a trained leader.
Yep. And wood badge is one of those quintessential training for adult leaders. But for youth that are viewing, that would be NYLT, National Youth Leadership Training. So if you're in a troop, a boy troop, a girl troop, even those new co-ed ones, they're all available to go to the NYLT and get the training. And I'll tell you a little secret. The syllabus for both the wood badge and NYLT are very similar. So it is high-end training. So definitely get that training. You get to learn about forming, norming, storming, and all that,
Well, and Stan, some companies will actually help pay for that training because it's viewed as not just scout training.
Oh, yeah.
It's great for your professional career. And
Exactly.
sometimes you can get your company and larger corporations, or even small, that will pay for the training.
Yeah. Well, they gotta buy a membership too. So that's my recruiting hat that I yeah, you gotta win that. You gotta buy it.
Aaron Finley says, hello, gentlemen, from Troop 114 in Fort Scott, Kansas.
Awesome. Fort Scott, Kansas. We are getting a lot from all over the place. That's amazing.
And Jonathan is joining us. Thank you for all your help. You're making a great difference for kids and future leaders. Yes, I agree.
That's true for all scout leaders. So this year we need to really promote scouting. It's super important. It all starts with Cub Scouts. I believe that Cub Scouting is still the big one. We need to make sure that we get our youth involved in Cub Scouting, build that character. Believe me, you want to see character on display? Go to one of those Pinewood Derbies, okay? That's character. So, as we've all witnessed. So, but get them involved. This is a great time to get them going. And definitely.
And Jonathan has a questions.
Oh, good.
Ask, does anyone have suggestions or experience with a scout seeking scholarships? I assume this is someone that's graduated from the scouting program and moving on to college. And also any comments on how scouting has helped with college admissions or trade programs?
That's, one of the very famous, Mike Rowe is a famous Eagle Scout, and he has a foundation that really invites scouters and scouts, former scouts, to get involved with trades. And I know of several people that are in trades versus a profession. And when you look at what they're making, the people in trades are making a whole lot more money and have a whole lot more free time. It's amazing when you look at the two. But it's all in what your career goals are. As far as scholarships, NISA, National Eagle Scout Association, if you're an Eagle Scout, that's a natural. Fill out the paperwork. Usually once you go through your Eagle board, you get the first paperwork. You're allowed to fill out that same paperwork to be considered for all kinds of what do they call them, grants from NISA for schooling. So that can help. That definitely is a way to do it. Here in Central Florida, we have several organizations that can help out with school grants that can be given for education, but it really depends on what it's in. If it's in marine science, that's one thing. If it's in different trades or different professions, you could probably go in that direction. But that's been my experience from the Eagle Scout standpoint. That form for NISA can be filled out up to 3 times for 3 years. So from
the various merit badges give scouts a taste of so many different professions.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely, yes.
It's interesting. If you're into Mike Rowe and all of his stuff, he's got a YouTube channel too. And it's not political. He tries not to be political, but that's Mike Rowe. But and if you're lucky, you'll hear him sing. So,
Stan, with regards to scholarships, I think to give a little more depth into it, VFWs and American Legions often have scholarship programs, if not specifically for scouts, for like-minded academic as well as community service type scholarships to look into. Right. There are a number of organizations that offer scholarships just for Eagle Scouts, besides NISA and stuff. But as we teach in scouting and in life, you don't just walk in and get it. You do have to dig and do a little work for it. Yeah. And so a good research, you can find that there's other ways to also supplement scouting activities and school. Great story from one of the many scouts I've worked with. He actually disassembled computers, recycled the computer parts, where he paid for 3 summer camps, a scout jamboree, and his membership 1 year. So that, with a little bit of creativity and effort, there's a lot of ways to generate scholarships, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's amazing. And scouts always surprise me. Up until recently, I've been doing a lot of Eagle Border reviews. I had one scout that his parents mentioned to me, could you talk to him about military service? Because he was dead set on getting a computer degree, on some kind of programming computer degree. And it was going to cost a lot of money to go to the school he really had his heart set on. And because of that, his parents were like, military, the military pay for it. That's, it's a commitment, but that's something to think about. If you want cutting edge, state of the art, we're talking computers. And if you want that kind of education, military might be the best place to go. Right now, there's deficits in all the branches, and they need Eagle Scouts. Okay. And that would be a natural. Go serve your country, that kind of thing. And in doing so, they will serve you in helping you get the education that you need. And once your time is up, and if you want, you can leave that and go off and have your career. So it's an option. And
I said, if you have Eagle Scout, you'll get that extra stripe in most services right out the gate.
Exactly. Right. They give you a raise right off the bat. So don't ever, with youth, don't ever, that's a very viable thing for education. The military can help out on that. And I'm all for that. I did not have that opportunity. So that was the only regret I had. I wanted to serve, but I couldn't. And but long story. But that is an option as far as education. Mike, do you have another question? I see it.
Yes, we had a follow-up from Wasteland Reaper. Thank you for answering. I am an Eagle Scout. My son is a wolf. I firmly believe in scouts and should be a part of youth because it teaches life skills.
Yeah. And
life skills are lacking. So thank you for adding that.
Amen.
Yep. That's so true. And
Right.
I hear that from a lot of parents. I don't know if Matt, have you ever had parents come to you and say that's what they want to do? Is that something that's common out there?
As far as like having their kids learn these different skills?
Yeah. To learn how to, the one thing that in Cub Scouting is how to hammer a nail. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. You can tell who was a Cub Scout. How to hammer a nail.
Yeah.
It is amazing. So there's a lot of skills there.
Absolutely.
Everything from the Pinewood Derby to hammering a nail and even the whittling chip where they use a soap and a plastic knife and do the whittling chip. That's always good because you get a lot of soap dust.
Yeah, and they get those skills they get those skills that kids just don't have today, and they're kind of the anomaly when you look at a kid and he's maybe 10 years old and they're able to screw in or do hit a nail with a hammer.
Yeah,
it really stands out. I've started telling parents that scouting teaches those things that you always ask, why didn't we learn this in school? It's a great way of filling in the gaps because you can learn some things in school, but you don't learn woodshop anymore. I like when I was in high school and middle school, we did woodshop. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
I don't think. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think it depends on the high school. So
yeah.
Mike
Rowe was right when he was talking about how we just don't teach those skills. The blue collar workers have been taken for granted. And those are skilled trades. Believe me, you get an electrician, and you realize you needed that electrician.
How about penmanship?
That's another thing. And they don't teach penmanship either. So that's a gripe. I don't know.
I was actually surprised to learn. I was surprised to learn that my son was actually starting to learn cursive again.
Wow.
He's in the third grade, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm learning something called cursive," and I'm like, "What?"
That's so cool.
All right,
it's so cool. It's like a foreign language.
And actually, that's kind of something that I find myself frequently having conversations with both scouts and parents on with the merit badge process. And trust me, I'm more than just merit badges, but the blue card, which with electronic sign off in Scout Book and such, has kind of gone to the wayside, and the new Guide to Advancement is trying to bring it back. One of the things that drives me up a wall is watching a scout leader or a parent filling the blue card out for the scout. Now, I take the passive aggressive approach of going, I've seen your handwriting and you could use the practice. So why don't you fill it out instead of mom?
Oh my.
But when we talk about the skills of scouting, we forget some of those things that having them fill out the blue card is no different than what they're going to need to do to fill out a job application someday. They're going to have to write. They're going to have to know their address. They're going to have to know their name. I know that sounds silly, but they struggle with that.
And schools aren't teaching it.
No,
most schools.
Right.
But that's one of those writing skills that to be prepared. Maybe this is an opportunity to actually bring that about. To be prepared and to be able to write those things down. Believe me, I've looked at enough page H, which is in the project handbook for making an Eagle project. Page H is where you get 5 signatures, and a lot of scouts, I look at their signature and I go, "Oh my!" I can make out the first letter, but after that, it's just up and down. I don't know what it is. So it's
what was it? Bad penmanship usually meant you were going to be a doctor, at least 4 decades ago. Now
you question it. You look at it and you go, who signed that?
All right.
I think the cat got a hold of a pen, It's all over the place.
We'll just want to make sure we're popping up the things from users.
Yes.
Timothy added that he's from the Minzy Trails Council in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Thank you for adding that.
Pennsylvania.
Steve adds that his employer is paying for wood badge. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
There you go.
Awesome. You know, it would be better. Not only just paying for wood badge, pay for that time, paid time off for that. That would be really, maybe I'm pushing it.
Baby
I don't
steps,
know.
Stan. Baby steps.
Yeah.
I've
I
heard
think
of employers who do
volunteers should
that.
get a little, from the employer. There should be something there.
Well, there are
Yeah.
some employers. My wife works for New York Life
Uh-huh.
and the Minnesota Twins, and both do some sponsorship for
There you go.
her volunteer hours. And so many of the larger companies will offer some incentives to help out. So,
Well, this company that's paying for the wood badge, that's executive training.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
there might be a promotion pretty soon. So that might make up for the difference. So
Yeah.
that's one of those things about wood badge.
All right, Ping King 554, a longtime viewer of the show in pretty much every month, says I was a guinea pig for NYLT and attended it the third year that it was released.
Fantastic. Tell you, that's been around for a while. Trying to remember the one that I went to. It was a week-long thing. What was it? Junior Leadership Program. I think it was the JLC or something like that. But that was the forerunner, back in the 70s, 80s that preceded NYLT. So
1970s and 80s? No, just checking.
it was a long time ago. Yeah. We had just gotten off of the dinosaurs and started using horses. So, that was
All right, Elnora Macbeth joins us from the Seneca Waterways Council in Rochester, New York. Where Elnora is the council commissioner and unit commissioner.
wow.
One of the most underappreciated jobs in scouting.
Commissioners?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we predate executives. That's the thing about commissioners.
Yeah.
We predate them. Before people got paid in scouting, they were commissioners. So yeah, that was it's amazing when you look at that history of commissioners. And there's so many units that tell me that they don't have a unit commissioner. And you can't get a charter. You have to have a commissioner sign the paperwork. So there is a missing person, a missing cog there that's needed for a successful unit. And that's really the mantra for unit commissioners, is to help units succeed. That is what they are dedicated to do. And if they're ever having an issue, I've had issues that were just out in left field. I had one unit come to me and said, we can't get people to show up on time. They just refuse to show up on time. Says, I will solve your problem. So I came to their meeting, and as soon as they started the meeting, I locked the door and locked myself out from the meeting. And I stood out there, and everybody was showing up late. I said, oh, here's your rope. We're going to learn a knot while they're doing their opening. That scared them all, including moms and dads. So nobody was exempt. You were late, so you got the tie the knot. We're going to learn the square knot.
Well, we should
by the second time, but everybody was in there early.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Elnora, for commissioning, and to all those that are commissioners. It's very
It's a fun
valuable.
thing. I think you got 3 right here, or 4.
Yeah.
Right? We're all commissioners.
I'm not a commissioner.
Oh, well, we got some paperwork you got to sign.
Yeah, we're gonna change that real quick.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
You've been drafted.
Yeah, you've been. I probably need to.
Voluntold.
Yeah, pretty much. Aaron Finley asking, apparently sent you an email, Stan, about a 1950 Order of the Arrow Sash, and wondering if you have any comments about that, or if any of the guests have a comment about a 1915 Order of the Arrow Sash, or
1915 is what you're talking about. Because I've been talking with a scouter that came across the fundraiser for the Order of the Arrow. The fundraiser of the Order of the Arrow, they have a thing where I think it's $250 goes to an endowment for the preservation of the Order of the Arrow, and there is a red sash that they can wear. So we've been talking about that. I received a red sash when I went to the 100th anniversary of the Order of the Arrow at their NOAC. Everyone at that particular NOAC got a red sash. I was an advisor on that trip, and so the sash is a huge thing, and the red one is striking to see that. It's a white arrow on red cloth, and but that is something that's coming up that people can donate to this foundation and get a red sash that they can wear at any time they want. But it's more collectible. Let's put it that way. You get one for your donation, and that's something that's coming down the line. And we've been talking about that, and the red sash. But the 1915, the original sashes were black, and they had a white arrow on them. That was the original, and they were made of felt, so not a lot of them survive to this day. So they were very fragile, and a lot of them just kind of deteriorated because they get wet, they get dirty, they get stepped on, you name it. And eventually that just comes apart. It was just a temporary thing at the time. They decided to go to a cloth one probably around 1926, I think was the year. I'd have to look at my big books that have all the details on how that came about. But they went to a white sash with a red arrow. So, and this one just is a specialty thing. So
I too, Stan, was at the 2015 100th anniversary. I was on stage, actually. I was in the stage show. My claim to fame was the Scoutmaster that looked like an orc. That's besides the point.
I remember that. Oh my gosh, that was you.
Yes, it was. There is better footage out there. I did play more than that, but if you recall, the red sash from the 100th anniversary was only allowed to be worn at the conference,
right?
Which was at Michigan State University, and not to be worn again. So them coming out with this red sash that can be worn.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It's a new one. And it's something that I've got a episode coming up. Season 12. Let's see where I'm at here. Looks like it's scheduled. I'm still doing the research and getting it finalized, but I've got something already slated. What is that? February 19th. Looks like a Wednesday. So don't hold me to it. That might change. So sometimes you have to move the schedule around. But we've done some research on that particular subject, and it's a fascinating thing. I've still got the red one. We wore them on the plane on the way home. So we did break the rules a little bit, our contingent. But at the time, my chapter was called Tosahatchee, and that means crazy chicken. So, that was my chapter. So we got away with a lot of stuff. We did some fun stuff. It was neat.
All right,
Mike, do you have another question?
I just flipped the banner on the screen to hit the thumbs up so more people can find us. I will flip this on the screen. Bucky, why don't you read this? I have to mute and cough.
Sure. Having Eagle Scout on my resume got me into the college of my choice without having the GPA required. I graduated and prospered thanks to being an Eagle Scout. And Stan, that's I hear that time and time again. And the challenge is getting a 15, 16, 17-year-old to realize the value of Eagle Scout.
Yes.
The investment of it and how it will pay off. Because yes, we've already talked about how the military will give you a little boost in rank or such. But I think there's a societal expectation, if you will, that comes with when you say Eagle Scout, you automatically are moved to the head of the class or given a little bit of leeway but with expectation.
Higher expectations.
Yes.
That's the other end of that. I remind new Eagle Scouts that all the time. It says, yes, your application will go to the top of the pile when they see Eagle. They're definitely going to get you an interview. That's one of those things. It will get you a little bit ahead, but they're expecting something in return.
Yes.
They want to make sure that you're living by the Scout Oath and Scout Law.
Correct.
Plain and simple. They know that they can trust you, trustworthy, right? And you're going to be loyal. Okay. You've proven that being an Eagle Scout. Therefore, the company is more apt to really look at you in a very favorable light. And it's important to don't let that down. Don't ever let that down, because that's huge. You want to make sure that you uphold that.
Matt, wouldn't you say that when you run into somebody at any point, whether they know you're in scouting or not, and you find out they're an Eagle Scout, don't you kind of talk to them a little differently or treat them a little differently?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You have a different expectation. And then obviously being a scouter yourself, you already have this sort of connection and camaraderie, especially in the military. I mean, as soon as somebody says that they're an Eagle Scout, you're like, okay, you've done a little bit with me. Even if you're brand new and fresh out, you already have that connection. And those can be lifelong bonds too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's huge. And especially for young people, professional bonds like that, it's phenomenal.
Yes.
Absolutely phenomenal. Eagle Scouts are, they're rare. You'll hear the statistics that say 8 and 6 and 4%. That's within the scouting realm that those numbers work. If you think of all the youth that exists in America, all of them, every single one can be an Eagle Scout, but they have to be a member of scouting. So that's less than 1%.
Right.
So right there, it breaks that percentage way down. Eagle Scouts are rare, and it was difficult. Believe me, I was in, I had my Eagle board after I was 18. I did all my requirements before, but it was like I was just stretching it out, and the fumes were starting to get to me, as they say. Oh, Bucky knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
The fumes were getting to me, the perfumes and the car fumes. I tell you, that was getting to me. And I pushed it to its absolute possible end. But but it was a huge achievement. And I can remember I was working in a facility that had this big dock and a lot of Teamsters on the dock. And they found out I was an Eagle Scout. So they're all walking up to me with their knives. They're going, I've been trying to get an edge on this. I want to can you show me how to sharpen this knife? These are Teamsters. And I'm going, yeah, I'll show you how to do it. Here's your whetstone. What's a whetstone? It was kind of shocking. But and when they find that out, that's what they expect. They expect it from you.
Okay, so we have a question from Barely Good.
Okay.
Thanks for the videos on this channel. I learned about scholarship programs for Wood Badge, and I was able to get to PAC to support it. I will be going this month to Wood Badge for the first weekend.
Fantastic.
Congratulations on going to Wood Badge.
Very
Absolutely.
good. Yes, that Wood Badge is the ultimate training, and if you can get some help, if you need the help, that's a definite thing that the council has available. So to reiterate on that, I would make sure that you go to your council and make sure they have some kind of program that can help you with, because the fee is to cover a lot of stuff. Okay. And it's food and your facilities, everything. It's all in there. So it can be kind of pricey. It's not like some other trainings that I've been involved in, Lovey Covey and all those other ones that are out there. They were a lot more expensive. So, but this is really good leadership training, and you'll walk away with a song in your heart.
A song
you can't get rid of. A song.
Hey, Stan, would you like to have a few songs kind of inserted into your brain? Speaking of songs. No, I'm not suggesting we sing the song, but I'd like to share with you something that I'd like to bring each month to your podcast.
That would be neat.
Okay, so
Perhaps songs related to a merit badge, perhaps?
it is. It's called
The music
Bucky's
merit badge.
Jukebox. That's what we're going to
Oh.
call this. Bucky's Jukebox.
Bucky's Jukebox.
And give me 1 second.
Can
here.
you flip it up on the screen? And then I think I might
Oh,
need
yeah.
to click on something.
Yeah.
Discovering new things here. Yeah, that was neat.
Let me
Bucky's.
see right here.
Are
There
you
we go.
presenting it, Bucky?
Yes.
Okay.
There
And
it
I
is.
just added it there.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
so
neat.
this is our segment called Bucky's Jukebox. And so we're going to do a top 10 song list here just for fun. And today
What's
we're
the theme?
going to go with the American Business Merit
Oh.
Badge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And these are all songs that I think could inspire scouts and scouters alike when working on American business. Now, of course, we'd love to hear if you have any suggestions, whether you're live with us or watching this later on. And if this is popular, maybe we'll do it again next month.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. Number 10, we've got I Want to Be Rich by Callaway. It's the 1980s, 1990s, 1980s, yeah.
Yeah.
Night Shift by the Commodores, the nice
That's-
1970s, early 80s. How about American Capitalist Five Finger Death Punch? That's for those hard rockers out there. The Bare Naked Ladies, if I had $1 million. It's been a long time since I heard that one, but yeah, that's a good American business one. How about Money Changes Everything by Cyndi Lauper?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or For the Love of Money by the OJs. Going back into the 60s there.
Mhm.
All right, here we go. Opportunities.
Ooh.
1980s Pet Shop Boys. Let's make
Yeah.
lots of money. A lot of people might not even recognize that line in the song, but yeah, if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, okay. All right, we're on to our top 3. She Works Hard for the Money, Donna
Oh, yeah.
Summer.
Yeah.
Disco classic.
It is. It is.
All right, 9 to 5, Dolly Parton.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah. Can anybody guess what the number 1 song is? Well, it's got business in the name. Here we go. We're Taking Care of Business by BTO.
There you go.
So there you
Stellar.
go.
The
That's
top 10.
the top 10 for the
So these could be
American-
songs you listen to, put in your playlist for while you're studying.
Related to the
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what I should do on my brand new unoccupied YouTube channel is put together a playlist.
Oh, be careful. There'll be 3 people already there. So nobody wanted ScouterStan.
right.
Believe me.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our next question or comment. Steve said that Steve feels that Eagle Scouts should go to college first before considering the military. This is what he did, and he joined as an officer after college. Okay, I've heard of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to West Point, that's a little bit different. So, so
Yeah, it's very individualistic because I've served on both the enlisted and the officer side, and I've seen people come through both. Sometimes, even if you're an Eagle Scout, you still need to do a little bit of maturing through the enlisted ranks before you move through. And at least that's what I had to do. As I still had a lot of growing those first couple of years in my enlisted tenure to mature and get that before I ended up finally buckling down to get the commission. So yeah, like yes, there are people out there who benefit directly going into college and have those options. But don't discount the experience that one gains from being an enlisted grunt and being out there with the the wrench turners and everything.
Agreed and well said.
well said. Well said. That's that's so true for a lot of youth. They're looking for that next step. They're leaving high school. They're leaving their troop because they're 18. It's one of those things that you seriously need to encourage service. That is, and it's a benefit to that. And especially if you're looking at today's enlistment, now you can walk in and get a really good deal, and get a good education, be able to serve your community, serve your country, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So I'm big on that. That's so true. Mike,
right.
do you have another question? I see things happening.
There's a question I'm going to skip over because someone's asking for tax advice, and I think tax advice is outside the scope of this channel. So ask an accountant is what I would say. That's my advice. Elnora says she just did a merit badge university, and it took 20 minutes to fill out the blue cards.
Get a stamp. That's what I did.
Stamps are us or something, Just
yeah.
Get a stamp, and I think for events, most merit badge universities are sponsored by a council. Yeah, except for Buc-ee's, of course. And then I think usually with the scouting event website, there's a provision for the council to report to the unit who completed what requirements, and then the unit advancement team can upload that. I don't know. I kind of like the aspect of where the counselor actually logs into Scoutbook and marks it off. That way, it's kind of a record of who the counselor actually was.
Yeah, you need that data. Eventually, it's got to be entered digitally through Scoutbook. So that's something that comes up. I don't know if the counselor does that. I believe that has to do with your troops' advancement. They're usually the ones that type all that data.
So a counselor, if they have the BSA ID number and last name of the scout, can connect and then do the sign off.
Okay.
But from the other end, the scoutmaster parent can connect up to a merit badge counselor if they know who the counselor is.
Yeah.
And it's easier to do if you're within council.
Yeah.
If you're in the same council.
Yeah. But the beginning, keep this in mind. The very first step on the blue card is a Scoutmasters conference with the youth. That's the beginning. It all starts there.
And I strongly recommend that anyone who thinks they know advancement rules, the 2025 Guide to Advancement has changed a lot of things to be very succinct now in what can and can't be done. And one of those is that scouts must communicate with specific scout leaders as designated by the unit or the council before pursuing a merit badge. And that's a huge rewrite for the new advancement rules.
Yeah, we were going by the 2022, I believe, up until the new one came out.
Yep.
And I just haven't had a chance to go over the changes. It might be a video. Video idea.
There you go.
Put that.
They said you need to fill in some gaps. There you go.
Wow. The thing is, I've been stealing ideas out of the next things.
Well, and I think it's also worth pointing out there are a bunch of updates to merit badges starting at the beginning of the year. I think it's about 29 pages of
I've
updates.
seen that. I saw that.
I really like the format of the update file that it lists old requirement, new requirement. So it just kind of shows you what changed. It makes it helpful to understand.
They need to do that with the Guide to Advancement also, to have those changes visible. Because if you're an advancement person like I was, I knew that advancement guide pretty well. It's a matter of getting that new stuff, the changes put in there. But it has always been progressively more and more strict about the way it's worded. If it says the scout must have a meeting with the scout master, that's not a negotiable. That's a requirement. So that is something that needs to be very clear. And I think that's probably why they did the update, was to make it more clear.
And the update has in the front that must and they spell it out. Must means it has to be done. There is no variance and such. And
Exactly.
so GTA, Guide to Advancement, a
Yep.
good epic read.
Yep. It is worth reading through. And
Yeah.
that's true. And it, this is not just for troops. This is for Cub Scouts.
Correct.
It's for the troops. It's for Venture, and it's for Sea Scouts. So it covers all of it, all that are advancement. Believe me, the advancement in Sea Scouts is totally different than a troop or a pack. It's just one of those things.
Absolutely.
If you have questions about that, that's the best place to get those answers.
Well, and as Matt was telling us before the show, he's learning how exploring is turning and very different.
It is.
It
is.
It'll be interesting.
You're putting together a new unit, right, Matt?
Correct. Yes, I'm the commissioner for a brand new Explorer post.
Oh, wow. What? And it's airport or airliners or?
Yes, it's at a airport here in Northern Virginia, and it's focused on getting kids, I say kids, but teenagers involved with avionics and aircraft maintenance and flying. Definitely have already had some number of volunteers who have different aircraft platforms and are also pilots of different platforms wanting to come out and talk to the kids to get them excited about it, because they're going to be the next generation of cargo haulers and jet fighters. So
it's a trade that needs to not be forgotten about. We need pilots. Most of the stuff that's shipped around our country comes through airports. So
absolutely.
And it's a critical thing. They're the truck drivers of the sky.
Can I do a shameless plug? Can I do a shameless plug for Matt? Matt, for people that might be in your area that are interested in the Explorer unit, they can reach you at what? The Roaming Scouter?
Yep, at the roaming scouter at gmail.com.
There you go. Yeah.
Awesome.
Because I'm sure somebody will watch this and go, I want to be a part of that. Right?
Probably.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Did you
up
know?
here, Northern Virginia. Yeah, it's a great thing, and it's a great learning experience for me, because I got asked by the district executive. She said, "Hey, do you want to help me out with this?" And I said, "I have nothing. Don't think of anything to contribute." She's like, "You'll be fine. Like you're young and you're involved, and we can do everything we can get you everything that you need." And I'm like, "Sure, why not? Let's just." I'm catching up on my 1 hour a week, as it were.
Recruiting 101, right there.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I work with Cub Scouts, right?
Did you know that scouting had Air Scouts at one time during the 30s? They had Air Scouts and they had wings that they could earn and be pilots. So it was quite exciting. In fact, the National Museum has put out a call if anyone has uniform or patches from that time period when explorers had Air Scouts. If you have patches or uniform, they would love to talk to you, because they've got like one uniform shirt and a patch. And there was a lot more to it. The National Museum is dying for that. They want it. So,
there were 4 merit badges that were specific to the Air Scouts. They were blue. The program ran from the early 40s to 1952. And it was aerodynamics, aeronautics, airplane structure, and airplane design. That were the 4 Air Scout specific merit badges. Anybody could earn them, but they were meant for the Air Scouts. So very cool program.
It's a pretty neat one. So definitely a good explorer group. That's for sure. I think the National has the Learning for Life program that has a aviation focus, but it's more towards the personal passenger type of transportation. So it's a different one. But most planes you see in the sky are cargo. So that's just the believe me, a lot of it comes through Orlando. We see the plane after plane. So, and a lot
it's
of
a
tourists.
busy airport, Stan. Okay.
Yes, it is. Well, Mike, do we have another question? I see some more.
We do. Ender asked, are there any tips for new troop guides? I was just appointed to be the troop guide in my troop, and I want to know anything that can help me.
Wow. I do have a video on the next step for a den chief that's done being a den chief, is now coming back to a troop, becoming a troop guide. There's a video for that. Later, I can put a link on it here, up there. I think. I don't know. It's all backwards here. But yeah, I'll put a link on it and to that particular video. But troop guides are the next step. They're going to be there with that new Scout emphasis patrol, and they're going to be there to kind of help them go from being a Cub Scout into being a troop member. So it's a huge transition. And not only that, but you also have parents. They need that transition too. So there's usually an assistant scoutmaster that's part of that, and they are helping the the parents, because in Cub Scouting there are a lot of what we call helicoptering. So they watch the scouts. They're there all the time. They're always there. In a troop situation, they're not hovering around anymore. The adults are in the committee meeting. they're helping out there, and that's the job of the troop. And the troop is youth led, and that's the structure there. And that's a real foreign concept to a lot of Cub Scout leaders that make that transition into a troop. So there's that, and then you got your guide. So
you mentioned helicopter parents. I don't think that's exclusive to scouting. I think that's in any youth organization.
Yes.
Anything to do with youth, from school to choir to sports, you name it. I think there's helicopter parents.
Well, it's unique in scouting. In a troop environment, we try not to have that occur. When they're on a camp out or a hike or something of those nature where it's youth led, we want them to have a safe environment and be safe. That's part of the Scoutmaster team. I've always said that scouting is a safe place to fail. And that means that if they mess up, there's always that safety net. So that's there. But we want them to have the experience without their parents hovering over them, always being their parachute to get out of a situation. It's important that they have those moments when the pancakes burn. Okay, that's an important life lesson.
Part of the transition from when I have scouts that are in my pack transitioning to the troop, one of the first things I tell the parents is Cub Scouting is about dependency, 90% dependency, building a little bit of independence. Scouts BSA is about independence, not dependency. And you're not doing your child a service by hovering. We need your help. We'll put you over here, but hovering or helicoptering is not going to help the unit or your scout develop to their highest potential.
Yeah. That is something that happens. And nothing wrong with Cub Scouting. It's building character. We want that character.
Yeah.
But with a troop, you're dealing with youth. Youth need those experiences of failure. They need it. It just happens. It's going to happen. Yeah. And if they can do it in a safe environment, then it's recoverable. Okay. It's not something that's going to be an issue. So
I think there's also a part of teaching the parents themselves that it's okay for the kid to fail, and you're not a bad parent if you let the kid fail. This last iteration of summer camp, I was sitting back and I was watching all of our Weeblos and AOLs scrub a latrine. I'm not doing it. Just watch them scrub urinals and such. And the parents in the adjacent camp were like, "Oh, like you're making them do it?" Absolutely. They've got their team together. They've got their lead, and they're doing the whole thing. And they're like, "Well, I think they poured the buckets in the wrong area." I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to be a hard lesson in a second, but they're gonna learn." It's like, and we're gonna make sure that by Wednesday, when we have to do this again, that they'll be pros at it, and that they were. And a lot of parents, when they had to, they were cooking the foil dinners that night with them. and they saw our kids over there. And my son in particular, he came out and his was charcoal, because he was not paying attention when we were given the instructions. He says, "Dad, my food's burnt." And I said, "What were you doing when you were supposed to be paying attention?" He's like, "I was talking to, Scouter over here." So I'm like, "Well, I won't let you starve, bud, but we're going to learn some hard lessons today."
Charcoal.
Yeah.
Charcoal's good. Builds character.
Yeah. Little Burt Kilbasa never killed anybody,
All right.
That's so true.
Sounds like another question from Jonathan joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks again. And asking for any experiences or stories about larger scout trips to places like Philmont or national jamborees.
Awesome. Well, I've got a lot of stories, but I want to hear Bucky.
Well, so I had the privilege of being a venturing advisor for the 2017 National Jamboree. And, we've got the Northern Tier in our backyard here, or 6 hours north. But I've been there, but I haven't been to Philmont. I haven't been to Sea Base, but I did get the chance to go to Summit Bechtel. And first thing, piece of advice, get good hiking boots. There's a lot of walking and a lot of hills. And, they talk about Denver being the mile-high city and the air's thinner. You're in the mountains of West Virginia, and there is especially for us plains people, there is a change in oxygen level. Let's see, other big impressions. Natural water coming out of the ground at 50 degrees is cold.
Yeah.
There's but 90 and humid. I'll tell you what, that ice cold water, or what feels ice cold, feels really good.
Yeah.
They did a really awesome job at Summit Bechtel.
Yeah.
And I think the best advice I can give is experience it. Just go experience it. Don't go with other people's opinions on it. Form yours after you attend it. And
The neat thing about the summit is that troops can go there as a troop. They don't have to wait for a jamboree or something.
Right.
They can go there, almost year round.
Yes.
I believe they have facilities there during the winter too. And the Northern Tier's the same way. They have their, their ice experience up there. So.
Oak pick.
Yeah, it's amazing all of the different things that are out there, and of course, Sea Base is open year round.
Something that
Key
I would
Largo, so it's down the Keys.
Something that I would comment for any scout outing is look at the leader guide, and even parents that aren't necessarily leaders in the troop, mention the leader guide to them, because it answers a lot of questions. And I think in many cases, just by knowing that certain things have been planned out and it will be okay, that can alleviate a lot of concerns, and concerns may never come up just by having the information up front.
Agreed.
That's
absolutely.
True. Oh yeah, that guide was put together for a reason, and it wasn't just for the leaders going. So it really gives you a lot of help as far as a parent of a scout. I've had experiences that were pretty unusual that have happened at scouting. I was at a camp way up in the mountains, trying to remember, I think it was Camp Daniel Boone. And it was, we were on the second day, and the nature people, when we did our rounds the first day, scared the scouts quite a bit about brown recluse. So every bug in their tent was a brown recluse, and they were all in absolute fear of even going into their tent. So we were trying to help them to get over. It's a daddy long leg. Yeah, it's not a problem. That's an ant. Okay, that's not a brown recluse. Stop screaming. So it was it was one of those things. And these are troop. These are teenagers. So they had this one scout, and I'm talking with the scoutmaster, and I'm sitting there, we're the last ones up, because we want to make sure everybody's asleep before we go to sleep, so we can get a night's sleep. And we're sitting there and we're chatting, and out of the dark comes one of our scouts, brand new scout. He's in full uniform, wearing his backpack, and he just thought it would be good to come up and inform us before he walked home back to Orlando, Florida, from way up in, gosh, I think we were in northern Georgia. So he was going to walk, and because the spiders in the tent have decided to kill him, so he wanted to go home. And it was, one of those away from home for the first time moments, and we had to calm him down. And no, it's a long walk. Why don't you wait till tomorrow? And he says, well, the bugs are going to kill me. I won't make it till morning. He's really dead set on it. Says, don't worry about it. Not a problem. It's going to be fine. You'll be great. It'll be wonderful. He got through that dramatic situation of homesick and blaming it all on brown recluse spiders. So it was a really fun summer camp. And it was, my gosh, it was on a trailhead up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And it was all up and down. There was maybe 2 sweet spots in the whole camp where it's not up and it's not down. So flat. And those are rare, and you really had to look for them. So, but it was all up and down. And the scouts had a great time. He had a great time. Now, this scout went on. I mentored him to become an Eagle Scout. And he recently notified me that he had completed his studies at seminary and has been accepted into the Catholic faith as a priest. So there is a future, and this he was able to face his fears. And as a Scoutmaster, or being the Scoutmaster group, to see that was awesome. And to know where he ended up, where he is today. And it's just fascinating. Absolutely.
Well, there's another.
I had a lot of stories like that.
There's another topic for you, Stan. Where are they today?
I don't want to embarrass them. We had scouts go under the raft, during whitewater rafting. We ran them over. So when you're going 20 miles an hour through a level 4 rapids, if you fall out of the front of the boat, you're going to be run over. So that's why you're wearing a helmet.
Absolutely. And a jacket.
So we've had that happen. We had we pulled him out on the other end. We came around the other side. We pulled him out of the water. He says, "There's air under the boat." Like a pocket. So I've seen things like that. It's just so fun. So much fun. So,
all right. Ready for another question?
Another question.
Mm-hmm.
Ender asks, when are unit elections usually held?
Oh, it really depends.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see if anybody else has had that experience. Usually it's every 6 months. And I believe that that's okay, but I really believe that the den chief, this sounds weird, den chief and the senior patrol leader should go for a year. The reason is that senior patrol leader, in 6 months, they're just hitting their stride, and then all of a sudden they're out. And then they got to find a new position. It's so hard. But I believe the senior patrol leader should go for a double term, per se, and make that a full year. The den chief is very similar. After they get into that den and they start working with the den leader, they need to stay there and work that full year. That's how they get the den chief award. They have to be there for a full calendar year. But if they're out in 6 months, that makes it very hard to get that award. So those are the 2 positions I think it should go annual.
I think it also depends on the size of the unit.
Yeah.
I've had larger, and right now I'm dealing with a very small unit.
Mm-hmm.
We've always done ours, and this just happened. Nobody gave us guidance. We do our elections in February. And we tie that in so that we have a night of elections, and we have the OA come in and do their presentation and run the elections at the same time.
See, we do our OA during the winter.
Okay.
So in fact, this past weekend was the ordeal.
Sure.
We can't do that where you live.
Right.
We have popsicles.
Right. Yeah, so we did that. We tried 1 year because we had a young man that said, look, I have activities that are going on. I would be willing to do 6 months. So we did that, thinking that we were going to change to summer camp being our transition. But that didn't stick with our unit. We've done February elections. That's just what we do. Now, again, that's driven by the kids. And I think once you establish a tradition, that's what they know. So they just go with it year after year. But we've always asked them, if you want to change that, we can. And the other interesting thing that we do is we run our boys and girls troop together co-ed.
Oh,
They're two separate units on paper.
They call it conjoined. They're conjoined.
Right. Well, now
they use the same equipment, same committee.
Yeah. Now the BSA is looking at and they're testing in some councils actual co-ed units, and it can work, but it really comes down to a mindset. But I love the fact that they're going to allow you can have a girls unit, a boys unit, or a co-ed unit, and I think that serves our youth to the best and widest selection.
So true. And it's it's really being defined by the chartered org. That's who decides that. So it's not really the council or any of that. It's just to facilitate the agenda that the actual charter has, because they're in charge of that unit. They own it. So that's the neat thing about the charter system. As long as that's maintained, then you're fine. It's not something that's pushed on them. They can easily say, no, we're only going to have a boy troop. That's fine. It's totally within their realm because they own it. So the co-ed thing is doing well. Unfortunately, it's the charter that's having some problems. And that's so that as soon as they get all that figured out, then maybe that'll be an option. They'll have, girl troop, boy troop, co-ed troop. I don't know, but that's a national thing.
Beyond our
we're all volunteers.
It's beyond our pay grade.
So maybe they'll work that out.
All right, another question.
Oh, got another question.
All right, from Mr. Patterson, the art guy. Do you think that Chat GPT will become a prevalent issue when people are working on merit badges? I graduated from college recently, and it was an issue there. It's hard for me to imagine it would be much of an issue unless people are over relying on the workbooks, which are kind of unofficial. But do you disagree, Bucky?
I have a very strong opinion on this, and it really is not Chat GPT that is the issue. It's the merit badge counselor, and it's the manner in which you do it. One of I have rules, or I call them expectations, for my online and in-person merit badge days. One of them is I don't want my counselors, and I as a counselor don't accept you reading your answer. I will tell a scout if they start reading, stop, take all the time you want, read your notes, formulate your sentence. Okay. That's one way to combat Chat GPT, and keep in mind that any AI chat or generative thing, even Google has an AI component. We need to encourage them to be used as tools, not as crutches. And we have to stand strong on that. So if we want to turn the other cheek, like some counselors do, then it is a problem. But to me, and I'm sorry, Stan, you might get some negative criticism here, but I think any merit badge counselor that is worth their weight in scouting gold holds that standard of actually interacting. Adult association is a part of the merit badge process.
Exactly.
A part of the scouting program. And utilizing things like, turn in your workbook, which, by the way, BSA says that's not any part of completing a merit badge.
That's not in the requirements.
No, no, unless it says draw a picture and you're utilizing the workbook to draw the picture in or something.
Right. Right.
But
it's a
filling
workbook.
out a workbook, and we know councils around the country that have said, no, just send us in your workbook and you're completed. I think it's a good guide, but again,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm very concerned that we're not addressing the use of chat GPT and other sources. We need to hold scouts accountable. We need to say, look, we're here to help you grow. Anybody can copy, cut, and paste, and you're not going to get anywhere in the professional world by relying on chat GPT.
Right.
Okay. The personal interactions of adult association as well as peer-to-peer interaction is key to your development. And while you may wear the Eagle badge, the thing that's really going to pay off is the experiences of doing these rank advancement, these activities, these merit badges. That's the experience that you're gaining. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm sorry.
No, it's well said. I agree.
Yeah. It's definitely a huge thing, at least in academia, where people are concerned that ChatGPT is just pumping out dissertations and people's not actually learning anything or providing any sort of fodder to the different career fields. And I'm of the mindset, because talking with my father, he says that I shouldn't be using ChatGPT to help with like research and things like that. I'm like, it's just a tool.
Yes.
Right.
And it's something that you need to use. And if you don't use it appropriately, you're just limiting yourself. I can't say that, oh, I'm not going to use my car because a real man runs. Like, no, I'm going to use my car because it makes my life easier so I can get things done that I need to. So
yeah,
I'm
Right.
with you.
It is a tool.
It's
and
a tool.
to rely on it, that chat GPT is not getting the merit badge.
No.
And we have other issues out there. I'm not going to call individuals out per se, but we have some people that post out on the internet that are Eagle Scouts. Here's the answers to a merit badge. And it baffles me because you had to earn this. How are you helping the youth today by posting the answers to the merit badges? The experience is researching, learning, and as we talked about earlier, failing in some cases is the bigger learning experience that leaves the lasting impression.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the requirements are, research this, that means using tools, but coming to conclusions on your own is really the part of researching. And then covering that with your counselor, that you have to go word for word on those requirements. There's no option there. You must follow that process, that procedure.
Yeah.
That's what's in. That's the big thing. So that's for sure.
Looks like we got some more questions.
Yes, we do. We have a question from a scout this scout and his twin brother are both den chiefs.
Nice.
And looking for advice for new den chiefs.
Don't fight with your twin.
Matt, what would you say to your den chiefs?
I would say to brand new den chiefs, remember you're there to serve as an example of what Scouts BSA is, not necessarily to be their friend. You can be friendly and you need to work in a capacity of trying to help them get to the next level. Even if they're your brother, or maybe you've known them through church or some other form of youth group, you need to realize that you're there for a specific role and guidance, and to make sure that you are appropriately compartmentalizing that you can be friendly, but if you all of a sudden you're running around and you're becoming more of a Cub Scout than a den chief, then I have to step back in, and then you're not fulfilling your leadership role and requirements, and we can have a conversation about that.
Right. That's
okay. Thank you, Matt. I've actually seen some cases where that would be very important advice.
Yeah.
Our
district thing
district
that den leader needs is another Cub Scout with a knife.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, something that our district commissioner commented on the den chief position that I thought was very meaningful to me. He said it's most often successful when the Cub Master understands what the position is and wants to have a den chief. Because otherwise, if it's, hey, here's your den chief, and if the Cub Master is just not familiar with it, it may not be so successful. So,
well, the den chief works primarily with the den leader, whoever that den is. And I always say that it should be filled from Arrow of Lights to the Weeblos and so on. Mainly because that's critical for when you get into that leadership role. You're going to not only be the den chief, but you're the recruiter for your troop. These are the Cub Scouts that are going to follow you to your troop. That's the thing.
Well, and if you want to be SPL, there are going to be votes for you too, right?
Exactly.
Let's be real, you know.
Exactly. And that's in just a few years when they move over to your troop. You're the recruiter, and then you become the guide for that patrol. So it's a multifaceted thing when you're dealing with den chiefs. That is one of the most important things. If you have a troop that's struggling, the very first thing that unit commissioners do is ask that magical question: is how many den chiefs do you have?
Yes.
Boom. That right there is a mindset that they just think that the troop's on their own. They're only going to do their stuff, you know. No, you need that youth to go over to that pack, that den, and actually give service. And that's key, because they will join your troop. So
you know, the other thing that I've seen, and this would be a good tip for the den chiefs, is make sure that the Cub Master and your Scout Master are communicating. Okay, and you are going to possibly run into the fact of early leadership that you didn't realize you had in managing adults, because when the Cub Master and the Scout Master aren't communicating,
right,
that's defeating the purpose. And honestly, being both Cub Master and Scout Master, the Scout Master is kind of the bigger challenge sometimes, because wow, this is just extra and stuff. But the future of the troop is reliant on the success and such of the den chiefs,
right?
And the den chiefs are there to not be den leaders. So
they're not to be Cub Scouts,
right?
Don't turn into a 16-year-old Cub Scout.
Right? Yeah,
it's important.
Yes.
That is so true. Very well put.
Yeah.
Very well put. I think we got so much information there.
All right. Another question from Life of Abana. Okay. Hey, Stan, I was wondering, what is the new square knot on your uniform? The red and silver one. Is that a new one?
It's new as if, well, wait a minute. Up here somewhere. It had to be last 2023. I got the commissioners red knot. It's a red one over here, red and silver. And it was totally unexpected. That was the year that I got Commissioner of the Year for my district. That was good. Was the last year of that district. So our districts change names sometimes. So, but that was a lot. There was a lot of fun. It's an award you get mainly from training and being involved and getting your tenure in and helping new units. So that's really a nutshell of their requirement. So, but it was a surprise. I didn't know. My district commissioner was the one who was keeping track of it. I didn't even know about it. So just sort of presented it at the banquet for the district. So that was nice.
Okay. And there's a question that I'm going to skip because it's kind of asking for some opinions that I don't know that we would be able to address, but
I've got opinions.
I'm waiting for this one. I saw that one in the chat, and I would love to help address this one.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
All right. Let me read.
The sharp rocks at the bottom.
You want to address this one, Bucky?
Yeah, the one from Aaron. I'd love to address that one. The one that you had up previously.
Oh, okay. Yes. So if you have two boys, two girls, two male leaders, you also need a female leader in Order of the Arrow.
The simple answer is yes. And, Here's what is in the Guide to Safe Scouting. A registered female adult leader, 21 years of age or over, must be present for any activity involving female youth or female adult program participants.
Mm-hmm.
Plain
Yeah.
and simple.
Yeah.
So if there is a female youth, there must be a registered over 21 female present.
Right. And registered means they've gone through the process of going through that background check.
Correct.
And they've got the YPT training. So, and that's true for the other adults that would be there. And of course, the accommodations for the girls and the boys would be separate. So they don't sleep in the same tents. They don't sleep in the same buildings. They two separate facilities.
Yep.
Simple.
Okay. So we have a couple more questions.
Okay.
From Kevin, how can a scoutmaster inject more spirit into a unit where many parents, adult leaders, scouts are uninspired or just checking off boxes? And how can we get people excited about scouting again? Okay.
I'll tell you what, the best way to do that, and I saw this in action. I was going around to some troops and watching how they do their meetings, and it was boring, boring, boring. Nobody signed up for scouting to go into a boring meeting. It should be exciting. It should be not a meeting, it should be preparation for an event, for something that's going on. And that's a critical thing. You need to change your mindset as far as your meetings. That's the first step. And really understanding that change is critical. Definitely will change your meetings. The second big thing to build scout spirits is what is known, as Baden Powell put it, he called it patrol method. And that, having a cheer, having a logo, having something you can, we're the owls, hoo-hoo, that kind of thing. That just exhilarates teenagers. And when you have that in there, those two things, when they're preparing for an event or an adventure, and they have that scout spirit through the patrol method, you can't put that down. You'll have excitement. You'll have a line. You'll have a waiting list to join that troop. That's the thing. Definitely do those two things. That's how you turn it around. It's infectious. It will also go to the adults. They'll get excited and they'll be involved, and they will start stepping up when you have activities. You need somebody to drive to the bowling alley to help transport scouts to that event. You won't have a problem getting them because they're going to be in the car yelling out the windows, we're the owls, or whatever their patrol is.
Stan, I think Matt's got something. He's I can see his.
I can see the wheels going.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I love about his videos. You can see those. What you got, Matt?
It really is ownership. It's two things. One, it's ownership. You're correct, 100%. That's why I wasn't jumping in, because Stan's hitting on the head. As soon as the kids, as soon as the scouts come together and they have an identity and something that they're proud of, and they kind of get that spirited core in it, that's when they start building on it. And it's infectious. It really is. But it also comes down to the leaders themselves, because I talked about this in another one of my videos where people hate being read to from a book, and you do have to make it exciting. And if the leader is just sitting there being a grump and not wanting to sing, and I'm not a huge singer by any means, but I'm willing to do it to get the kids excited and to wear funny hats and to do things and to play the fool, just to get the kids to know that, like, hey, you can do this. You don't have to be cool all the time. You can be open and let people be excited about it. So I think that those are the two things. It will set if the adult leaders and the older scouts are doing things to have fun and setting a culture of, hey, it's okay to be fun and have fun here, you'll start seeing that spirit of core, and then they'll get involved with it. They'll like it. It'll become theirs, and they're going to want to do more of it and to be proud of it. So,
yeah,
I think before it, and I totally agree with what both of you were saying. I think you have to ask the scouts and the leaders, what would excite you? What would inspire you? We actually went through that about 6 months ago with our troop. And you know what it took? A planning to go to an escape room 4 months later. And it was something that they were excited. The fundraising wasn't a grind. It wasn't a chore. It was for the end result. And it was the youth that said, we want to go to an escape room. Now, granted, some of the adults suggested it, and such. But I think the first step is get feedback from your customers. I mean, that's marketing 101.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
And then exactly what you guys were saying, make it interactive, make them a part of the inspiration and excitement. How about a Hot Wheels derby instead of a Pinewood derby?
You can do that with the siblings too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all the ones that are not in, they can also do the match.
Yeah, and
the
ultimate
matchbox track. With all the
absolutely
and stuff.
Yeah,
An annual planning meeting, when I've seen it done effectively, is so amazing. And my goodness, the scouts that were in that planning meeting, they are going to want to go to those activities every month, because those were the activities that they voted on and they figured out. And, the adult leaders kind of ratified that, these are practical. Some things we can't do. We can't go camping on the moon, although I think that would be a great April 1st announcement.
Wow, what a fundraiser.
What a fundraiser. So
that would be challenging. That's for sure.
All right. So I have another question here from Agent Complex. Hey, Stan, do you have any tips about the interpreter badge? And in fact, I have a question myself. I will qualify for the interpreter badge, but I'm not sure. As an adult, do I just go to the scout shop and buy it, or do I need to fill out paperwork with the council? Because actually, our council didn't seem to think there's anything they would do with any paperwork. So
I don't think there's paperwork.
Typically, if you're going to put on that I speak Korean patch, you better know what you're doing as an adult.
You better be able to
be able to have that conversation. So for adults, it's probably fine. I'm not sure on what the policies, and there is a form. I did a video on the strip, and the PDF for that form is in the description. So that's there, but it doesn't say youth or adult. So there's no real difference on most of those patches. If you're a native speaker, Spanish or German, or if you've been raised speaking that language, obviously English or American or whatever the language you are now in scouting, that is a natural. You need to be there for that community, that underserved community. The Scout Handbook, you can order from National. It's in about 100 different languages. So it is available. But then again, you have to have a group that can be able to understand and speak those languages. So the adults, I don't believe there is a requirement, because there is an obligation if you're going to wear that.
I think there is. I'm going to stand. Last time I checked, it was carrying on a basic everyday conversation,
right,
and being able to read or write a 200-word.
I believe it's one or the other.
A letter or something, yeah.
Yeah, so there is some level.
There are requirements.
Yeah. But
there are requirements. Yeah.
But I'm thinking for adults, if you're proficient in that language, I don't think it's necessary.
Yes.
Really, you could probably do the requirements pretty quick.
I think the question, and we were talking about this before the show, the uniform police.
Oh yeah, watch out.
I know there are certain ones, and I don't know the answer to this. Maybe this is something we look into. There are certain ones that the BSA sells, but they don't sell every language out there. And I don't know if they allow for modified language strips, or you're limited to the ones that they authorize.
Yeah, I would say it is you're an interpreter, ambassador of scouting. And if it's a language that they don't have available, but it's available on, a patch producing company that's out there. Like, what is it, Class A, Class B, or something?
Class B.
They have a lot of patches out there, but you have to be careful because sometimes you get youth that they only speak English, and they'll put on "I speak British." That's
Yeah,
that's
no
not-
spoof ones. Yeah, no spoof ones.
it's,
I
it's
speak
kind of a cheat. So
I speak Klingon, right?
I speak
And,
Southern.
That's,
I might slash.
I speak
my
Klingon.
08
It's very
slash
funny, but
really
probably
not.
not for the uniform. So
Yeah.
Right.
So it should be appropriate. Okay. But as far as the requirements, yeah, if you're proficient in it, I don't see an issue. You probably get through those requirements every day. So not a problem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we have a couple questions about what are the things that stop Cub Scouts from crossing over into Scouts BSA? And I think
Boring programs.
we do unfortunately lose a lot of Scouts after years of Cub Scouts. So what was your answer, Matt?
I said boring programs is the number one thing. The kids stop seeing the value in it. They stop having fun. The parents stop seeing the value in it, and they start seeing it as a waste of time and a burden versus the life skills that these kids are learning. That's there's a couple of other things. People move. People have different obligations, things like that. But I would venture to say if I was to poll a bunch of parents and Cub Scouts on why you left the program, it's going to be that they were just not interested in it, or that it was elapsed by another program that they felt was more beneficial. Usually sports is the other one of it. But I think that boring programs is hands down, because the kid's not having fun. The parents are just driving there and they're just like, okay, this is a waste of time and energy. In my unit, we have quite a few very active adults, and we're very active in the district and such. And we're trying to really bolster our recruiting efforts. And one of our elevator pitches is that you need to excite the child, but you need to sell the parent, because if they don't see the value in this, they're not going to drive the kid to Cub Scouts. So
Okay.
Very well.
And I think the question was, Scouts crossing over when they complete Cub Scouts. But yes, in Scouts BSA, it's exactly the same thing.
I think
Boring
another
programs.
thing is people not realizing that there's more than one unit that they can move to.
Yes. That's one of the things I did a video on. That's going to be a t-shirt.
I think your video was
I did the video
scouting upgrade.
Upgrade. Don't quit. Upgrade. Go to a different unit. That's not all units match up. So maybe the parent having an issue, with some other parent. That's easy to do. Your membership. The first part of the money that you pay is going to national. You're a member of scouting at that point, and you can move your membership to other units. That's a thing you can do. So
there are also cases where there's a perfectly good unit that just has an emphasis that's not interesting to some scouts.
Right.
There might be another unit in your community that is interesting to those scouts.
Right.
And I'd really rather have the scouts move than quit scouting.
Right. And it's you can, and believe me, we know you can combine sports, band, all the other things that they're into. You can do both. You can do scouting, which is probably the least expensive, and do the other things. So you can do both, and totally okay for a youth to come to the Scoutmaster and say, "Hey, I need the next month or two off because of this commitment." Totally fine.
As a scouter, it's tough though to encourage them to go to a different unit when you feel like you're putting on this great program. But in the interest of scouting, we have to realize sometimes it's pushing them to look at other opportunities.
Yeah. I've had units that focused on computers. I've had units that focus on hiking. I had others that did nothing but canoeing constantly. So that may not be a good fit for some youth that don't want to do those things. They want to go to the computer one, or they want to go to the one that does canoeing or hiking. So it varies.
Youth do not want to live out their adult leaders' interests. They want to follow their own interests.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to add, it's like the roaming and roaming scouter is obviously that I've moved around the nation over the last 5 years and have been a part of 3 separate councils, and that includes also going back to the council that I became an Eagle Scout in for a short while too. And I always tell people that you need to shop around the different units when you're looking to join a unit or when you're looking to join a program. Even when I moved here to Northern Virginia, I looked at 4 separate Cub Scout packs in the area because I wanted to make sure that I was walking into something that aligned personally with me and my family, like drive and desire to want to do a lot of different things. Because I've been to some units where they really are just reading from the book, or they're kind of on life support, and you're not trying to necessarily coming into a new area, trying to move into a unit that is in that kind of state. So I always tell people, go out, look at different units, find which one works best for you, because that's what's going to make you guys stay in the program for even longer.
Yeah. That's well done. Hey, we need to do a reminder. If you're sticking around and watching this live show, we have 2 of the best guests. We have Bucky. He's down there. Wave, Bucky. Bucky, the Scoutmaster. And we also have the roaming Scouter that has one of the best YouTube channels. And if you're not a member, I shake my finger at you. You got to go over there and subscribe to his channel. He's got some great videos. I don't care if you're in Explorers or Troop or something. Go over there and definitely subscribe to his channel. Look at some of those videos, and you'll agree with me. I've got my work cut out for me. I got to bring up my game. Those are good videos.
Yeah, and
good ones.
And Bucky is in Minnesota, where I live, and he kind of leads a group of scouting adults that organize merit badge opportunities. And I think you also do some online things. Actually,
he's got it online. What's your website, Bucky?
ScoutmasterBucky@yahoo.com.
Awesome.
Or ScoutmasterBucky.com, I think.
Yeah, or ScoutmasterBucky.com.
I don't know if you have those gas stations up there, the Buckies.
No, we don't.
No?
But trust me, anytime somebody
out.
travels south, I've got a lot of that Bucky gear.
Oh my gosh.
But
you're in Bucky's when you look at the wall of jerky. I'm just an entire wall. Now we're talking 13 feet ceiling, a wall of jerky. And they've got things like ostrich jerky and buffalo and it's amazing. So Bucky's, I don't know.
Well, and Stan, as I mentioned to you before the show, and thank you, Mike, for the plug. My team is looking for opportunities to come work with local scout groups or the councils to putting on merit badge program and adult training. I have some great people for special needs training. I've got some great people for just general scouting knowledge. And we're all looking for an excuse to travel on the weekend.
There you go.
Then to
get away from all that snow.
yeah, right. So if there's anybody out there that wants to work with me and my team, we'd love to come do something like that.
Definitely. And how do they get a hold of you? Through your website?
Yeah, ScoutmasterBucky@yahoo.com.
Okay.
Yes, it's an old person's email, but I've relinquished to the fact that I'm getting older. It's so well established. But otherwise the website and my contact information is there on the site.
Okay. That's awesome. Do we have any more questions? We do.
Yes, a shout out from Jose joins us from Virginia Beach, Virginia. He is an Eagle Scout and he likes this video. So thank you.
Woo.
Which I think we have so far about 25 people have given us a thumbs up, which is helpful. I think YouTube will will recommend the video to more people.
Have we got any donations tonight?
No, I
don't think we have.
Never asked for them.
Well, you know what, Stan? I'm going to
do it.
I'm going to verbally commit that I'm going to give you $50 towards the cause. I'm not connected to the website or the feed right now outside of the studio here.
There you go.
But
you can do it anytime. I had a very nice gentleman who loved the videos and stuff, and he sent me a $5 Christmas card
Nice.
through the channel, and it was great.
That's cool.
I need a new camera. This thing it's old.
Didn't you talk to Santa about that?
I tried. She said no.
Okay.
All right.
No, it's your channel. It's your channel. You do it.
All right. So I'll put in a call. Anybody watching this, whether it's the live show or later on,
Record
help
it.
Stan get the camera that Santa forgot to bring him. Make a $5 donation, a $500 donation.
There we go.
You know,
That would help.
doesn't
I've
it
been,
feel better
I've
when
been
you're not
looking
doing
for
the
a
plug?
long time. I do need a good one. So
Yeah.
Okay, we have another question. It's kind of
Sure.
a lot of maybe too many words to put on the screen, but commented that some troops only let their scouts advance altogether, only let them advance one rank per year, and whereas other troops, yeah, I know, will allow the scouts to advance at their own pace. And I'll let Joel comment on that. I'll
all right.
avoid adding my own comments as I see your expressions.
Well, as far as if you're forcing that, like you have scouts that have completed all the requirements for the next rank, but you're enforcing it and making them wait for their border review, that is not allowed in the guide to advancement. That's never that's not allowed. If the scout is ready for advancement, you let them advance. That is part of scouting. That's actually in the guide. That they ask for a border review, that is the next step to getting that rank. You can recognize them all at once in a group at your court of honor. That's totally okay. But as far as earning the rank, that border review is the day of that rank. They successfully passed the border review. That is the day they earned it. So, and that comes up a lot later on in life with a scout because the presentation is not the date they want on the Eagle application. They want the day you earned it. That's the important thing. So, and you can't really hold that back. That wouldn't just be, it would be mean. It's just not in the scout spirit.
Well,
it's just being mean.
It results in scouts leaving a troop is what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. They would just say, "Oh, I'm out of here. You're not following policy, so I'm going." So,
and also we can. It's never allowed to have a situation where a scoutmaster says, "Well, I want my own kid to advance before you do." No, that's not allowed.
no,
Not
if they're
allowed.
ready, they're ready.
Talk to your commissioner.
Exactly. And if you think you don't have a commissioner, you do. Find out. Call your council office. They will tell you who to talk to. They'll give you the phone number of the commissioner, and they will put you in touch. That commissioner will come to the meeting and find out what's going on. He'll hear every side and try to help the unit succeed. That's
Or just contact Elnora. She's the council commissioner for her council, so she'll take care of it.
Yeah.
There you go. Right
That's
there.
really fascinating that somebody would go through that. Because I mean, there is that argument about, 13, 14-year-old Eagle Scouts, but this seems kind of like the pendulum swinging the wrong way on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of people that are upset about 13-year-old Eagle Scouts. That's and you'd have to have one that's really gung-ho to get it by 13. There's just, the national average between star and life is 2 years. It's amazing. All the way up to first class. After first class, that's it for the troop. The troop has succeeded. After first class, it's completely up to the scout to get star, life, and eagle. It's up to the scout, not the troop. Look at the requirements. You notice that things about knots and lashings and all that stuff is in for first class and down. Everything after that is all merit badges and leadership. That's really what it is.
I think we have to remember though, individually, scouts are different. I worked with a scout who was a 13-year-old Eagle Scout. He's now in his third year at the Coast Guard Academy, and one of the highest cadets at the academy. I mean, so why would you hold somebody back
Yeah.
that has that natural. And I think we also forget that we have scouts that go through the entire program up to 18 that are tenderfoot. So why can't we have that offset balance that there's an Eagle Scout at 13?
Yeah.
And so I think we need to recognize that that's not a bad thing, but we have to look at it from an individual standpoint and from a parental standpoint. Is it the kid or is it the parent that's pushing for that?
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother show. Mark that down for your ideas.
Let me type that in right now. All right, I tell you, I did one on the Eagle Scout that did the bare minimum, and it was a thought experiment. It was, I got a lot of hate mail.
Wow.
So, an Eagle Scout that did the minimum.
Okay.
And it was it was a thought experiment because I wanted leaders to think about, Eagles. What does that mean? What does an Eagle Scout mean? And to berate somebody because they did the minimum or did exactly what they were told or just the, nothing more.
Yep.
Is that bad or is it good? I wanted people to think. And it got a lot of thought. So it does happen.
And I think scouts will often get out of the program what they put into it.
Yep.
And, if I'm, since I've talked about it on the show before, for merit badges, my kids are interested in merit badges that are kind of at a destination, at a venue. And if I'm going to organize something, although I could certainly teach the energy merit badge in a church basement or whatever, and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But, if I have connections to teach it at a power plant, that is going to be a Saturday that those scouts will remember for many years.
Yeah. It might open new career opportunities for them that they never thought of. They never thought that they would be involved in that. So, great stuff.
So we have a couple more questions here.
Okay. I
Tyler
think we're going to
Aiken,
go long. We got so many ideas.
What's Dan?
We're going to go long. It's okay with everybody. We'll just keep going. Okay. Go ahead and give me the next question there, Mike.
Tyler Aiken, someone that I know and Bucky knows, a very dynamic Minnesota Scouter. Yeah. What are you looking forward to for youth in 2025? Any new or special goals? Thank you, Tyler.
I get to think. For myself, I need to focus a lot more on the channel and working on scripts and making the best possible show. There's this guy called the Roving Scout or something. Anyways, he's producing really good videos. He's making me look bad. So I really got to step up my game. So I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to cut back on all that social media junk. And I'm going to start doing better videos. I could start with a better camera. That would be nice.
I was just going to say that, with a better camera, right?
With a better camera.
So, that's kind of my 2000. And I'm able to get the some of the stuff with scouting. I'm what they call in the in our council. If you're with a district, you're a district member at large. So that's my new title. I'm going to do Eagle boards still, and I'm doing training with the advancement. So, but my days of doing advancement plus the show, that just can't continue. I would drop dead. So I can't do 57 Eagle boards of review in 1 year. And the year before that, it did 60. So, wow. It's been, a lot of Eagle Scouts, and that's several nights a week that I would have to dedicate to doing those boards. I can't keep doing that and keep the channel going. So I had to cut somewhere. So that was the first thing. I became a member at large. So I will be there for training. I'll be there for the University of Scouting. I'll be there for other things. But locally, I got to focus. I got to keep it focused.
Sure. So. I think knowing Tyler, he's not just directing it at you. I think he's directing it at Matt and Mike and myself. Though I'm cautious in answering myself, knowing Tyler, but I'm interested what Matt kind of has on his.
Ooh, I've got two main goals this year. The first one is I want to staff a wood badge course because I want to learn the ins and outs and the refinement. I just completed Edge last month because I didn't know that was a requirement. So I have a video idea of all the different the tiers of education, I'm going to call it, or something along that, like the training track. Because I talked to Mike and Julie, who are our Philmont Training Center associates, I think they are, or they're coordinators that are out here, and they were talking to me about training tracks, and I thought that was fascinating because I was like, okay, you got wood badge, and they're like, oh yeah, but there's wood badge, and then there's Edge, and then you could teach, and then there's Philmont Training Center. So that's the next thing is to teach, so I could start moving up that. And then the second one is to put more emphasis in the roaming Scouter, to go to a bunch of different places to provide some better videos for people who are on the fence line about going or taking their scouts places. I mean, I've got DC right up the road, and if they want to know, hey, is it really worth going to the Marine Corps Museum that's right here, right next to me? Like, absolutely. I'll go through and I'll show you, hey, here's what your scouts can learn. Here's how you can do it. Here's some ins and outs. Hey, I want to walk around and do this STEM hike that's up here in DC. Like, yo, I will go out there and I'll do it for you so you can see kind of the ins and outs. And if that's what pushes you over so you guys can take your scouts to those locations, then I'm happy to do it. So those are the two things, wood badge and getting out more and bringing better videos of different places to people so they can help make those better decisions about having robust programs.
Well, I know Tyler well enough that if you want to come to the Minneapolis area, he will house you for you to carry that on here in the Minneapolis area. So put that on your list of destinations. I'm going to get a phone call after this, I know.
It's like an Everest goal would be if I can get National to pay for me to go to the Big Four one year, I think that would be like the pinnacle. If I could get to where they're like, hey, I think we like what you're doing and we'll pay for you to go to all four. Because I've been to Philmont, but it's been 23 years. I think that
let's get Stan his new camera, and then we can focus on your wish for the Big Four. How's that?
Yeah.
I would love to go back to Philmont, so that would be fun. I have a photograph of my mom holding me as an infant next to a tent in the tent city, right at the Tooth of Times, right over the top. So that was my first visit when I was, several days old. So that was my first visit. I was there as a toddler and as a youth. So.
Stan, if the audience likes your guests in this little chat group, we could do like, I don't know, Jimmy Fallon, Johnny Carson did, and take the show live to each of the things, right? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. My wife's always had this fantasy, I call it, of getting a camper and going all over the United States. And I'm like, yeah, as long as we stop at every campsite, every summer camp, just keep going.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer the question real quickly. And then we can move on to the last few questions. Sure. For about 7 years, I did a program called Honor Weekend. And it was, if you didn't know, back in the beginning of scouting, one of the requirements was a chivalry requirement. And I realized, and this started at my events when my wife, who runs registration, says, these kids can't speak up. They don't know please and thank you. And I'm like, we should do a little class on that. And it evolved to a weekend where we would hold those at a hotel, and they learned different manners and etiquette, from small talk to shaking hands to asking another scout opposite gender
how to cut their food.
We did a working lunch that taught them how to the dinner talk and the utensils and stuff. We had a dinner then. And we had different themes. So the last one we did was just before the pandemic. We had a 1950s theme. So all the training was based around the black and white etiquette videos. And then we brought in a band on Saturday night and did a dance where they had to ask somebody to accompany them to dinner. We had place settings, we had boutonnieres and corsages, and some of the stuff we repeated.
Yeah.
But some of the best feedback was going to an Eagle ceremony and the mom going, you know what, the Eagle stuff was great, but your honor weekend, I never thought I'd see the day that my son was would ask a girl to homecoming or prom, let alone I learned at the Scoutmaster Bucky Honor Weekend, I need to get a proper corsage and I can do a wrist one or a pin on.
Exactly.
So my goal is the expense of that was very expensive and it wasn't very cost effective. But I want to bring something back. At one point, they were talking about bringing out a merit badge called Life Skills, but that fell to the wayside.
Wow.
And I'd like to develop a program for Scouts that would be a day long, maybe a day and a half, for life skills. How do you balance a checkbook? We don't really teach that. Okay. How do you apply for a scholarship? How do you sew a button onto a shirt?
How do you apply for a job?
You're right. How do you sort the laundry so that you don't get pink underwear? Right.
Exactly.
So some of those things, and there's a list of different things. How do you iron a shirt?
Yeah.
So I'd like to bring back a half-day program that covers some of these topics in a way that would be received by our scouting community as a benefit and an add-on.
Yeah.
That's my goal for 2025 is to come up with kind of the next generation of what started as our honor weekend.
Wow. That's
So,
awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe
Record it,
so
throw it
we
on
you how to
YouTube.
do a signature.
So we've been at it about 2 hours 13 minutes. How about I have some more questions that I want to make sure we
Okay.
get to all just to make sure there's some good stuff that needs to go up on the screen, and probably we need to
wrap it up.
wrap it up fairly quickly here. But so Raymond says your videos are so wonderful. They're enjoyed by scouters in various countries. I agree.
One quick comment about that.
Sure.
I've been told by YouTube that apparently I've met the thresholds and stuff where they might be AI auto dubbed in different languages.
Wow.
So it might just, you might hear
Fancy.
my voice saying German or French, Spanish, you name it. So
No
hopefully
interpretership
we can get
needed.
that. If we get that, that'll be awesome. That would definitely make it worldwide. Scouting is worldwide.
Scouting is worldwide. Excellent. Question, Bucky, what order of the Aero Lodge are you in? And then Rebel Fan commented to Stan that he has bought the CFC Jamboree set.
Oh. So mine's a quick answer. Totaten Nakaha.
Wow.
It's a combination of a gaming and Tonka Wampus. So when our council merged in 2005, they merged the lodge. And I forget which one it was. I'm going to get kicked by my OA folks. But one of the lodges was the 16th lodge in OA. So we maintain the number 16.
Wow.
And they adopted a moose as our, I can't even.
Is it a moose, a real moose? You have a
it's a moose standing in a lake. So
a moose. It's a moose. It's on the loose.
Yes, the moose is on the loose.
Okay.
I'm in Tipasaw, so yeah.
Okay.
Been
Are
around
you
with
in
our
Order
patch
Zero,
never
Matt?
changed. So never change on our patch.
I haven't been a part of OA for 20 plus years, so
Yeah.
I'm not currently active in it, but I keep getting asked every so often, and I feel like as a Cub Scout leader, that's not necessarily where I should be at yet until my son kind of moves into there.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
You know, you could definitely join if you want. I know a lot of Cub Scout leaders that have flaps because they were in scouting like you were.
Mhm.
And just it's easy to get back into it. There's a big gap between my ordeal and my brotherhood.
Mhm.
Quite a few years.
Yeah, I even
So-
found my little books the other day when I was like
Oh, yeah.
searching through the little white books that I got back in 02, 03 when I
Yep.
went through.
I
So
think I've
Yeah.
got. Oh, I had one up here for. Oh, there it is. It's way back on the shelf. I have the what they call the OSAs, and it's in a binding, and they fold out.
yeah, those.
These are so cool. Okay, you have to go through the actual process to get these. But this
Yeah.
is a book of all of them. This is the whole thing. So
Mm.
it slides open and it folds out. It's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Okay, I'll try to kind of run through some quickly
Oh,
here.
Yes.
A question from Kevin that I think it said, for scouts that quickly become Eagle Scouts, how do we keep them interested in the long run? Unless anyone has a quick answer to that, I think that's maybe an excellent topic for a future video.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Let's do that. There's a lot of ways you can do that. It's Eagle is not the exit. So
Right.
you can, if you get it early, you have a lot of time to give back to your troop. So that's a
Yeah.
huge one. So I will write that down as a potential video.
Okay. And from Tyler again, asking, Tyler Akins was replying to the previous question, what are scouts interested in? The Supernova and Supernova STEM Awards are very interesting, very engaging. I think it's one of the best kept secrets in scouting.
Yeah.
I think you've done a video on that.
Mhm.
That could be another long segment of one of these things, but we probably need to move on. Pin King comments that, the rank is achieved when it's achieved. When you've met the requirements, when you've had the board of review, you're done.
Yep.
However, it might be some time until the patches are maybe handed out several times per year, which is perfectly fine.
Mhm.
Kevin asking about youth leader not stepping up into the role. That might be a video idea.
Tourniquet. No,
Mhm.
just
Tourniquet.
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 That's
Okay.
the answer for every first aid question, right?
Tourniquet.
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 Apply
What if
pressure,
you're-
elevate.
Having a problem breathing.
Yeah, tourniquet
Tourniquet.
solves the problem.
It will solve a problem.
As far as the question, is it inspiring a video to be made? The last question was about leadership and how youth leadership going into adult leadership.
No,
Was that the
the
question?
question was if a youth is not stepping up into their leadership role. Well, I think that's
Yeah.
a coaching opportunity, but that's a
Absolutely.
video opportunity.
Scouting is a safe place to fail.
Yep.
So, and that is a failure. So they have to, there has to be a reason that's going on, and that's a scoutmaster thing. So maybe that could be a video. I'll look
Yep.
into it.
Just going quickly through Brandon. Brandon was a young Eagle Scout, and he is going to order the arrow as he got older. Okay.
And
Huh?
Mikase. And a lot of people don't know what Mikase is,
Okay.
which is another part of scouting. I know Missouri has a big Mikase lodge. I think they're called lodges.
Yeah, that's there's two of them that are in that area. One of them went to OA. But I think that there's still some Mikose going on in that area. It took me a while to figure out how to say that. Mikose. So
Yeah.
it's but it's apparently it's still going on. I did a video. It's the
Oh, there you go.
T-word.
Check out the
but I
video.
did a video on that, and definitely look into that. It is a type of, it's very similar, but it actually started
organization.
off as a camping thing. So
Yes.
it was a little bit different than how OA started. So
But
All right.
to his point,
Yeah.
that's what OA is really there for. So when the troops start shrinking in size, this is a way for older scouts to be able to have peer association
Mhm.
and still do scouting together. That's kind
so
of the
true.
idea.
So true. And that's the thing. A lot of troops think that OA steals their scouts. It's not true. It actually keeps their scouts from quitting.
Correct.
So that's the reason they get that. They're with their older peers. They're not doing scout skills all the time.
Yep.
So that's the key to OA.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we kind of need to cut it off at a certain point where
It'll go on all night.
Tourniquet.
I tried to get to the questions here. I appreciate the great questions, and
Awesome. Well, I am so grateful to my guests and Mike. You guys are awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for all that you've done in scouting and all the fun we've had tonight. I would like for you to come back. Okay. Come back often. All right. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
It is. We do have to call it a close. Any last thoughts? Anyone?
Yeah.
Bucky, I've never seen you.
You've learned quickly. I'm never at a loss for words. You either love it or hate it. Yeah, remember, I think the biggest message that I want, and I find I continually tell in many different ways, we are doing this to serve the youth.
Yeah.
This is not about living out our childhood shortcomings or reliving it. We are here to serve and mentor our youth in a positive way. And anyone that's not doing that, I think, is in scouting for the wrong reasons.
Yep. They need to look about it and think about that.
Yeah.
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 So true.
well stated, Bucky.
Well
Absolutely.
done. Matt, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I just greatly appreciate being here. I loved it, and I love that this scouting YouTube network family, whatever you want to call it, is growing. Like, I think it's phenomenal because I think that it's going to kind of start this next generation of scouting adult leaders that are going to help bring this program back to very robust numbers. I think that this is the starting of it.
That's awesome. I mean, when I started, there wasn't anything out there. So, and now there's so many great channels out there. There's some other ones I want to bring on too. And I'm going to keep adding to my campfire circle. I had the idea of doing a campfire idea, and this is kind of the beginning of that. Talking about that campfire, and you learn so much about other leaders when you're sitting around that campfire, and all the jokes and the dad jokes and all that stuff. It is always fun, and that is the magic of scouting. It really is the scout spirit. And whenever I sign off, I've had people ask me, what does that mean? In scout spirit. That's really, yours in scout spirit. That's the ender that I put on all my messages. That way, it's for me and not somebody else. Keep those comments coming in. If you feel so inclined to help out on the camera, feel free to do so. Yeah, we'll definitely be spent on a good day.
Stan, thank you for the opportunity tonight. I really appreciate it. I look forward to it again. And I do have
both have a great. You're both going to be on the next one.
Well, I got to get going because I got all these cans. I got all these cans of pop on my desk. I need to go take care of them, and I just
recycle.
Well, recycling is tough because that's so depressing.
It is. So many people don't.
You really just waited for a while to crack that one.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't get that one. Oh, yeah. You got me at the end. All right.
All right.
Well, all right. Thank you, everyone. And,
thank you, Stan. Thank you, Matt.
To see you all on the trail.